Assalamu alaikum and hello everyone. I'm so glad you are here with me for today's session. In this lecture, we will explore how schools can better support students with diverse needs, including those with disabilities, chronic conditions, mental health challenges, and even high abilities. We will dive into understanding the unique requirements of these students and the barriers they may face in traditional classroom settings. Throughout this session, we will examine the concept of inclusive education, which is about creating a learning environment where every student, regardless of their background or ability, feels accepted and supported. We will discuss the importance of adapting curriculum, assessments, and classroom dynamics to meet the needs of all learners. By the end of this lecture, you will understand the importance of inclusive classrooms and how educators can adapt their teaching methods to ensure that every student feels valued and supported. This knowledge will not only enhance your teaching practice but also contribute to a more inclusive, empathetic, and understanding learning environments for all. I hope this session provides you with valuable insights that you can implement in your own educational settings, making a positive impact on the lives of the students with diverse needs. Education today looks very different from a few decades ago. Students with additional learning needs like Carlson's, who represents many children requiring support, now have greater access to mainstream schools rather than being separated into separate institutions. This shift reflects the principles of normalization, which since the 1960s has emphasized the people with disabilities should practice in daily life experiences similar to those without disabilities. Despite progress, challenges remain. Marginalization, discrimination, and lack of adequate resources often prevent full participation. These barriers not only impact students but also place emotional and social tension on families. If left unaddressed, such disadvantages may persist across a lifetime. Inclusive education seeks to transform these conditions by changing perceptions and breaking myths about disability. It emphasizes person first language, for example, saying a student with disability rather than a disabled student. This shift highlights dignity and human identify before limitations. In addition, the concept of the last restrictive environments guides school to place learners as close as possible to mainstream settings with appropriate supports. Consider the example of Sarah, a 10-year-old student with dyslexia. Initially, she was placed in a special class where her reading struggles isolated from peers. Later, her school adopted inclusive practices. Teacher provides multi-sensory reading instruction, assistive technology, and peer support groups. Not only did Sarah's reading improve, but her confidence and friendships flourished. Her classmates also developed greater empathy and respect for diversity. Thus, inclusive education is not only about policies and also about cultivating supportive environments where all learners, whether facing disabilities, chronic conditions, or giftedness, feel valued and capable of success. But inclusivity does not happen overnight. It is also about the policies that shape the classrooms of today, ensuring that all the students receive the support they need. Classroom today are increasingly diverse, reflecting a wide range of abilities, cultural backgrounds, and learning needs. This shift was strongly influenced by the principles of normalization, developed in 1960, which emphasized that students with disabilities should have access to the same daily experiences as their peers without disabilities. Instead of being separated, students are encouraged to participate in community schools where they can learn alongside others, fostering inclusion and reducing stigma. Key policies have reinforced this movement. In Australia, the Disability Discrimination Act of 1992 requires that students with disabilities must not face discrimination in education. Similarly, in New Zealand, Education Act of 1989 ensures equitable access to schooling. Supporting these, the disability standards for education outline the duty of schools to provide reasonable adjustment such as assistive technologies, flexible teaching methods, or individualized support plans so students can engage in learning on the same basis as their peers. Despite this progress, implementation remains uneven. Some schools fully embrace inclusion while others struggle with limited resources or lack of teacher training. This means educators play a vital role as advocates, ensuring that legal rights translate into the real opportunities of students. For example, consider a student with dyslexia in a mainstream classroom. A school applying inclusive principle may provide text-to-speech software, extra time in assessment, and peer collaboration activities. This small but meaningful adjustment not only helps the students succeed academically but also ensure they feel valued, accepted, and part of learning community. As we consider the policies supporting diversity, it's crucial to address how disability is represented in education. A significant issue in education is the overrepresentation of minority groups in special education programs. This pattern is not merely about individuals' student need but often reflects systematic inequalities, cultural bias, and discriminatory assessment practices. For example, African American boys in the US are nearly 3 times more likely their white peers to be labeled with behavioral disorders, even when academic performance is similar. Such overrepresentation restricts access to mainstream educational opportunities and can result in lifelong disadvantages. To address this issue, schools must adopt culturally responsive teaching lessons, connect with students' cultural backgrounds and experiences. Teachers must actively challenge their own biases and ensure that assessment practices are fair and inclusive, avoiding stereotype and pathologized differences. Another critical issue is labeling. In the past, the term like handicapped or retarded created stigma and inclusion. Today, the use of person first language is encouraged. Instead of saying a disabled student, educators now say a student with disability. This indirect but powerful shift emphasizes the individual first, promoting dignity, respect, and self worth. Additionally, some educators promote a non categorical view of disability, which avoids rigid medical labels. For example, two students with dyslexia may require more different support. One may benefit from audiobooks, while another may thrive with speech to text software. Focusing on unique functional needs allow for more individualized and equitable support, creating a truly inclusive classroom. To conclude, inclusive education is not just about policies and programs, it's about mindset, valuing diversity, respecting every learner, and ensuring equal opportunities for all students. Regardless of their backgrounds or abilities, it is about creating a culture that recognizes the unique strengths and challenges each individual brings to the classroom. When we hold the mindset, we open the door to a more equitable and sportive educational experiences where every student can reach their fullest potential. As future educators and psychologists, your role is to promote the fairness, challenge biases, and create environments where all students, regardless of their abilities, mental health, or other factors, can learn, grow, and succeed. You will be responsible for setting a tone of respect and empathy in the classroom, ensuring that each student feels seen, heard, and valued. This role goes beyond simply implementing policies, it's about creating an atmosphere where inclusivity is woven into the every fabric of the learning experience. In the next lecture, we will look deeper into the key teaching strategies, policies, and practices that promote inclusive in classroom. We will discuss how educators can adapt their method to accommodate a wide range of learners and ensure that no one is left behind. We will also explore various tools and strategies that can be used in everyday teaching to make learning more accessible. You will learn about specific techniques such as differentiated instruction and universal design for learning that can make a real difference in helping students succeed. These methods help address the diverse needs of students, ensuring that each one is given the necessary support to excel academically and personally. Through these approaches, you will be empowered to foster an environment that truly reflects the principles of inclusive education. I appreciate your attention and participation on this session. Thank you for joining me today. Assalamu alaikum, and I look forward to seeing you in the next session.